Big tech, train updates, and the real scariest thing of all this Halloween, the police. Today on Good Work.
Hello, workers of the world, and welcome to the show Good Work. This is a roundtable discussion about the world of working. Working is a major part of our lives, so we should talk about it. Mm-hmm. I'm James Mastriani.
I'm Matt Newell.
And I'm Jake Lloyd Bacon, and we are a bunch of comedians, writers, entertainer types in Los Angeles. We are not highly educated journalists. So take that and shove it in your bonnet.
Yeah, that's right. Even no matter what we're going for as for Halloween, happy Halloween.
So we. What other sound effects? Hang on.
Mommy, Daddy.
No, I don't like this track on the CD. I'm sorry, I have this Halloween CD that I bought.
Oh yeah, why'd you play that?
Oh, the monsters.
Let me skip to the next track here. Hang on. What's that?
I'm a little doll. I'm a little baby doll. Gonna get you.
This is.
I'm Chucky.
I'm
Annabelle and Chucky.
Let's try this next sound effect here. There we go.
Oh, paranormal activity.
It's just a man saying paranormal activity. This is a guy. This is
honestly, I think that's terrifying.
The Blair Witch Project. Found footage.
Hang on, let me
just an old man saying paranormal activity over and over again.
I am not that old.
I'm throwing this
Stop
CD.
calling me an old man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's geriatric.
So we didn't plan anything for Halloween.
No. It's hard to find a cross between Halloween and Labor.
I think we just did it. I think we just say stuff in spooky voices.
Yeah. No. Yeah. In fairness, union busting is very scary.
Very scary.
It is very scary.
Oh, we're so good at this.
Oh, man.
To the news from the spookiest newspaper in New York City, the chief voice for workers. Here's a story about the very spooky big tech dominance. Everything is gonna be spooky. The House approved antitrust legislation targeting the dominance of big tech companies by giving states greater power in competition cases and increasing money for federal regulators. So that's a lot of big words. Monopolies are bad. The big tech has too much power and is able to throw their weight around in money in lawsuits, and this is the House attempting to stop that. The bipartisan measure passed by a 242 to 184 vote. That's actually pretty, considering
282 to 184.
Considering how the House is split, Democrat to Republican. That is actually like, hey, some Republicans, not a lot, some Republicans care as well. It was separated from the more ambitious provisions aimed at reining in Meta, Google, Amazon, and Apple, and cleared by key House and Senate committees.
I hate that it's still called Meta. I forget every time I hear it. It's like, that's stupid.
What Meta? What?
Yeah.
Those proposals have languished for months, giving the companies time for vigorous lobbying campaigns against them. So the more limited bill, the new bill, that is the one being proposed here, would give states an upper hand over companies in choosing the locations of courts that decide federal cases. Proponents say that this change would avert the, quote, home court advantage that big tech companies enjoy in federal court in Northern California, where many of the cases are tried and many of the companies are based. So essentially, these companies aren't being held accountable for the varying illegal things that they do because of capitalism, being able to probably lobby months ahead of time when you know you have a court case in the city that you primarily operate by, altering public opinion and probably buying politicians and court systems by like, hey, we make up X% of the workforce in this city that you are going to delegate against us. So maybe be favorable. And you have months ahead of time to lobby and to pay for that. So now they're going to shorten that window so that the court cases happen quicker and that they happen in a place not chosen by the people being tried.
Okay. That seems good.
It would also increase filing fees paid by companies to federal agencies for all proposed mergers worth $500 million or more, while reducing the fees for small and medium-sized transactions. The aim is to increase revenue for federal enforcement efforts. Any questions?
I mean, no. I mean, that's
No. I mean,
right?
it's good news. It always comes with a caveat of like, this is in lieu of a more ambitious thing that they tried previously, and that's
just
always
negotiation, though. You just like
Yeah.
you go for way further than
Right.
what you want, so you know you're willing to pull back.
maybe.
Yeah.
But you know,
still, it's always like it could be better.
yeah.
It could always be better.
Always could
And,
be better.
yeah, the Biden administration has endorsed the bill, I mean,
yeah. This lobbying in this town, does that work?
100%.
Do people even even ad campaigns? No matter what I see, I don't ever believe it at this point. You know what I mean? There's got to be a point where people are like, I don't believe anything.
But
I don't believe anything.
We're in a bubble, though.
Yeah.
I don't think
Did people just believe whatever?
I always take my mother as a perfect example.
I was
because
just about to say that.
my mom.
Yeah. Well,
No,
I was
I'm
your
joking.
mom. Yeah. I was going to say
Well,
my
because-
parents.
Oh yeah, Jake's
Like
mom.
I don't think my mother is malicious in any way,
But they
but I
just-
think she's a pushover. My mom believes the things she believes because Tucker Carlson tells her.
Right.
If my mom watched an episode of The Daily Show and an intelligent person put together a point intelligently, she's just going to believe it.
Yeah.
I think that it's like, it really comes down to people who are just going to say, well, that sounds like it makes sense. So I agree with that.
Right. They're not going to
And
look and
They're
think
not,
about it any
they're not going
harder.
to think of
Yeah.
both sides. And like,
Yeah.
as long as somebody
Is it whoever got to her first?
I think it's whoever is at her right now.
Whoever
and
got to her last?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
And also,
it just
it's-
changes.
there's a bunch of people, and I know I was talking specifically about my mother, but like I think that she's an analogy for the most of America and middle America, where it's just like the thing that I heard is the truth, and they might hear the opposite elsewhere, and that's also the truth. I don't think that it's the critical thinking is occurring that states, oh, I actually saw two things that conflict one another, but they're
one
both
of them can't be true.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
And that's just my
Yeah,
asterisk. That's
yeah.
just my theory and my philosophy because I feel like that's how my mom is. Like
That-
when I explain things to my mother,
Yeah.
she goes, "Oh yeah, no, that makes perfect." When I got this whole argument recently about electric cars, about how I was like, gas is going to run out in like 15 years. We're going to be done with gas, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. And then I explained how electric vehicles work, and she went like, "Oh yeah, no, of course, yeah. There's a battery in my car now. It's no different."
Totally.
But until then, she was just spouting whatever she heard on Fox News, which unfortunately is the channel that she turns on first for some reason.
Yeah.
You know?
And that is the thing too. Like I feel like and it was like this in the 1800s too, where that the old socialists used to talk about, like which is this idea.
You're the old man.
You're
Remembering how it was in the 1800s.
back when I used to
Your college days.
yeah, my college days.
That's because, of course, James is a vampire. Spooky
Whoa!
Halloween.
Vampire.
That he's also a one-man vampire barbershop quartet, which is very weird.
Here we come. Vampire.
Nothing rhymes with come.
Come.
That's not true.
Yeah, that's not.
It's just in his brain in that moment.
Yeah, totally.
Sorry, we derailed what you were saying.
Back then, they used to even talk about, like, if you can see capitalism, right? If the people that are involved in it can see it, then it's done. It's over. And the whole point is like to mystify our surroundings for us. And one of the big questions, I think that we still don't have an answer to is like, how do you demystify for the masses? And like, who's demystify? You know what I mean? Like, because everybody's trying to manipulate everybody, right? And it's like,
Yeah, exactly.
and it's so for some people, I think it's super confusing, especially when you have a system that like makes it so that education is gate kept and hard for some people to be more educated or less educated. I have no idea. I don't know what the answer is, but I totally agree. I think that that's correct.
Yeah. And I know. So that's why I definitely feel like, oh, microphone. The lobby definitely works. And it's not just about the public opinion. It's also the businesses in the area. It's just mobment. It's literally like, it's, you want people to be swayed for a specific opinion.
Yeah.
Hey, make sure you call your local representatives and tell them that this is how they feel about this thing that's happening. Because
and if that doesn't happen, I don't know, maybe you fall on a bullet or something.
exactly,
I don't know.
you got these nice new window installations. I hate
Maybe
to
you
see
get
something
stabbed
happen.
by Michael Myers. Oh! oh, Michael Myers.
Michael Myers.
Well, that's.
I wish people could see the hand gestures that
It's
are accompanying
jazz,
James's songs.
It's
He's Fosse.
jazz.
He's
Yeah.
Fosse.
He's Fosse,
He's
yeah.
Fosse.
Well, here's some more spooky news for you. The mad scientists over at Starbucks are in trouble again.
Here we
This
go.
is Starbucks news.
Starbucks is back.
This is from The Guardian. The Guardian. A guard. More workers say Starbucks retaliated for union efforts. I lost everything when they fired me. That was a quote. In April 2022, Hannah Whitbeck, a barista at Starbucks store in Ann Arbor, Michigan, was fired just weeks after she helped file for a union election at her store, which many employees voted in favor of shortly after her termination. So more union busting. I mean, we don't have to get. I don't know what else can be fucking said about this. Every
yeah.
week, they're
yeah.
bad. Whitbeck
Yep.
filed an unfair labor practice charge with the National Labor Relations Board, alleging her termination was in retaliation for union organizing on October, or since it's The Guardian, they said on 7 October, a judge with the NLRB ruled she was illegally fired, ordering her reinstatement with back pay and the arrangement of meaning to clarify workers' rights and how Starbucks broke the law. Again, Starbucks is saying we didn't do we support the legal unions and all this stuff, but
They don't.
they don't. They clearly don't.
And they're not even trying to hide it.
Yeah.
It's not, they're just saying, we don't do that, as they are stabbing.
Yeah, as they are, holding someone underwater. We've
Right,
never
yeah.
drowned anyone before. You know,
Exactly.
they're like, whose head is that there?
Yeah.
Like,
What head? What head?
What head?
we support breathing.
We support breathing in all heads. Fucking guys. She says Starbucks is probably gonna appeal against the ruling, but so the board has issued 35 complaints against Starbucks, encompassing more than 800 allegations of federal labor law violations, as about 250 Starbucks stores have voted to form unions over the past year. So more. I'm glad that they're getting exposed, though. Hopefully, it seems like so much of it, people are going to eventually be like, yeah, they're bad.
I mean, I hope so. Yeah. I mean, I think unions right now have like such a huge approval rating from almost most normal people.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this last week, but do you think that approval rating will have any sway on the Supreme Court's
Their decision, if that other case that we talked about last week?
Yeah.
I don't know, because the approval rating for unions is almost identical to the approval rating for being pro-choice.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like it's
Doesn't
right there
matter,
at like
'cause
72%.
The Supreme Court does not represent America in any way, shape, or form.
And that's why I think they're so undemocratic, because like, they're unelected 9 people who then get to decide what the Constitution means.
Yeah.
And then we all have to go like, well, I guess that's what it means, everybody. It means, sorry, you can't. And then, at some point it's like, when are we not, fully just Iran or fucking North Korea or,
I know.
Yeah.
It's a slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go on to say, I mean, this article is there's many other accounts of people getting union busted. Aledia Claypool, a Starbucks shift supervisor in Overland Park, Kansas, was fired in April for organizing a union at her store. She was the first worker to win reinstatement, but did so through a complaint filed with Starbucks Human Resources. It's another one. And she said managers are being told to target specifically the people that are well-respected and looked up to at stores in an attempt at trying to demoralize partners. They're picking on these people that are clearly liked, well-loved, and respected. I mean, she's in stores. She's talking about herself. So it's a little funny. They're clearly picking on the prettiest people here. It is a funny way to say that. They're picking on the people that are well-loved and respected in stores. Really, all they're doing
how
is
hard it is on us.
radicalizing the partners that remain in the store. It's really hard to be this pretty and loved. But I agree. They're picking. They're making their choices.
Exampple. They're trying to make
making
examples.
examples.
This is mob mentality.
Yep.
It's like, we're gonna go after your heroes.
You go.
Gonna make an example.
When you get into prison, you punch the biggest person there, and they'll respect you. It's like kind of shit. It's like, pick on the people they love. I mean, there's just, I'm not gonna go through all these because it's a long article about all just different complaints.
It's and anything. How's Pete's Coffee as a chain? Are they awful? I feel like we should try to find out.
I
if
like Pete's. I used to work for Pete's.
Maybe Pete's should be our sponsor. We should just actively advertise a company that isn't Starbucks.
Yeah.
There's a coffee shop near me called Unincorporated.
Ooh,
Is that a good name though?
That's good.
Yeah. Unincorporated coffee.
Isn't there the commissary is also really popular in LA?
Oh, yeah.
A little bougie for my taste,
Yeah.
but they have some good stuff.
The commissary.
There's a few of those.
Interesting.
I think I've been to one. There's one on like La Brea, right?
I don't know about that area, but over in like Burbank and that area is where we would go all the time. Anyways, can Starbucks be fucking better?
I'm sick. Yeah.
Like I don't think it's ever gonna change.
Starbucks.
No way.
I dare you to have no news for me next week.
Seriously.
I mean, if you think about it, like Howard Schultz, like why would he ever change? He's not. There's nothing.
Never been.
Yeah, like there's nothing.
Even the consequences don't alter his position or his wealth.
His day-to-day life doesn't change at all.
At all.
He doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's
and he
literally
could give
no
two
reason.
shits whether people hate him or not.
100%. Yeah. I mean, he's a billionaire. He's, like what is the point of him even, humoring unions or even, it's
who runs as a Republican presidential candidate first, Schultz or Bezos?
Ooh.
Because it's happening.
I feel like Bezos actually would run as an independent. He feels like a guy to me that like
Ross Perot.
Yeah, because he's like,
can I finish?
Yeah, can I?
The old Dana Carvey.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I love Dana Carvey.
Apparently, he's like really. I've read before that like because he owns the Washington Post and he's like really proud of just kind of like
he sees himself as an independent thinker.
Totally,
like
and
I'm
going
not a part of
after-
the system.
Yeah. And like the Washington Post going after Trump during the Trump administration, like I think he feels like he has,
I'm on both sides. I'm on no
100%.
sides. Rather.
Is Bezos American? For some reason I thought he was Canadian. Or he is American.
Oh wait,
he
shit.
might. I don't know.
Oh,
actually,
boy.
I'm not sure. I mean, he might be.
I know Peter Thiel and Elon Musk obviously are not American,
Yeah.
and they're both.
American.
Okay.
Born in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Oh,
So that's all your fault, New Mexico.
Yeah.
God, he's just
He broke bad.
Listen, I'm not a violent guy, but some people just have a really punchable face.
Oh, yeah.
I want to smack his head, like open palm just on his bald head, to smack it like they can make a loud noise.
Yeah.
Because he's
Like a
little too. He's
watermelon.
like a little guy.
He's little. Yeah, he is. He is little. Although he's doing HGH now, so he's kind of bulking up a little bit.
Of course he is.
Jeff Bezos looks like the guy from the Six Flags commercials.
Yeah, he does. Yep. He 100% does.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, just a punchable little face on him.
I
think that Schultz is sooner to run for president because of what you said.
Well,
Because I think that
he already
Bezos doesn't
expressed
need to
interest
be
in it,
president.
though, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Didn't Schultz already
Did
dip
he?
his toe in it?
He definitely like was. I think it was like a. I can't remember if he fully applied, but
But
didn't
it was
he, like,
close,
It was
right?
close. I think he was like. teasing.
yeah, it was a tease in 2020.
Okay,
Tease,
yes.
yeah.
But then in late 2019, he announced he will not be running for president. I don't know why that's the headline. But yeah,
I think I remember they did some
I'm
sort
not
of.
running too. By the way, I'm
Yeah.
not running.
I'm still on the fence.
Did we just announce when we're not running? Is that
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Here's a quote from him, by the way, which we talk about what we were just saying about Bezos. My belief in the need to reform our two-party system has not wavered, but I have concluded that an independent campaign for the White House is not how I can best serve our country at this time. All that says is I'm right. He's going to run as a Republican one day.
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
That's all that I'm reading between those lines.
Yeah, all he has to do is just like start talking about family values or something, and like just start dealing with culture war stuff, and he'll fit right in. Yeah,
boy.
The good old days.
yeah, I get that. Yeah, reactionary. All right. So I thought, we're giving our audience all kinds of updates about Starbucks and different things, which I really love because it is an ongoing narrative. And so I wanted to do a little update about the rail workers strike. It looks like that one could happen as early as November 19th. And essentially, so at this point, I think in our media, it's been very confusing. You almost have to like dig for what is actually going on, because a lot of the headlines and stuff are just like, strike is off, it's not happening, like they come to a deal. They never came to a deal, which I don't understand. So what happened is, at this point, basically a deal was offered. The heads of the union accepted the offer to send back to their rank and file, who then vote on it. So it's not like they signed a deal. They said, "Oh, this is your offer. Well, then I'll take it back to the unions and see what they say."
They were messengers,
and exactly, like they were just the vanguard that was there to accept the offer. And so the media ran with this idea that a deal was reached, and so far,
a deal was presented.
A deal was
real headline,
exactly. And as of right now, it looks like.
And by the way, for right now, just in case things change, we are recording this. It's Halloween, but not quite. We're recording this a couple of weeks before Halloween.
In the past.
Time travel is spooky. But so as of right now, which is mid-October.
Yeah. As of right now, it is a vote of 56% to 43%. Pro strike.
Got it. So they're 40% are willing to take the offer.
Correct.
Got it.
40% are willing to take the offer, and 56% are not. And that seems to be an ongoing conversation and negotiation between the two sides. But right now, they're both kind of like anchoring in.
Do you feel like again, we talk a lot about unions on the show, and I can't reiterate enough how it is an interest of ours, and we have a curiosity about them. We are pro-union, but I don't think any of us have a ton of union experience.
Yeah.
Right? My assumption is that, like any organized group of people, even within a union, there will be decisiveness. There will be almost like parties within a union and so like I wonder if this is also a problem where within a union like this, like you said, those numbers are very specific, that like 54 to 46 kind of stuff, where it's like, that to me is, those are the sort of numbers where it's like, oh, this is the divide.
Yeah.
This is where like some people of our union, even though we're all fighting for our best interests collectively, some people see a different route to get there than others do, or the bars are in different places.
People just have different, like, some people want to try something,
right?
Some people don't want to try.
That's what
I don't want to strike,
right?
Or like they just like I don't want to not work,
or like my needs are being met. Like I'm okay with the bar where it is here, or where they're presenting it, and other people are like, well, no, my bar's higher. I want more than that. So I feel like that also has to be really, really difficult for unions.
Totally.
But ultimately, here's the difference, though. The difference is no matter what side wins, the unions get something. The unions get a semblance of protection.
Absolutely.
And that is why this is an actual, like, dare I say, pure form of democracy.
Yeah.
Versus like our political democracy, which is mostly
I agree.
bought and sold.
Totally. It's the hardest part of democracy, which is the conversation. The greater good. Absolutely. As opposed to, sorry, I didn't.
No, that was that.
Weird.
It was exactly what I was going to say.
Weird.
Spooky.
Weird. I do think, though, like, I'll be interested to see what the federal government does, because the estimate here is per day of strike will cost the American economy $2 billion
per day.
And
that's like 1% of the defense budget.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And we've got some missiles to ship. I don't know what the federal
Alex Jones should have to pay it.
Oh man. Yeah. That
was great news, right? Like,
funniest thing to happen in 2022.
Just to see someone has to pay $1 billion.
One person has to pay $1 billion.
It is the perfect person.
Yeah, I mean, like,
you have to do that.
If you were gonna pick a person to have to do that, I can't think of a better one.
Oh man,
I feel bad for all of his gay frogs that are gonna go unfed.
So keep an eye on this, because this will be really interesting heading into the first couple weeks of November, because if this happens, Christmas is canceled.
Oh my God.
Permanently, which is what we want.
Hey, James, can we get through Halloween first before you start talking about Christmas?
Jeez Louise, James. Let us have our season.
It
Stop
will be
being
nuts,
a corporate shill.
though. I mean, it'll be, imagine like if, I don't know if Christmas would, but it'll make Christmas much harder with like shipments and all that sort of stuff. It'll be, also, the other crazy thing I think about this moment in time, right now as we speak, massive strikes of rail workers in England are happening.
Yeah.
So it's like crazy that both of them are kind of converging
Right.
here. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. That's terrifying. But
Yeah.
also I think we are so detached from the money that our country has and
Yeah.
or owns
Yeah.
that you say that and I go, okay, yeah, it's going to cost us $2 billion. What does that
Oh,
mean?
yeah,
What is
totally.
it like?
What's it going to cost me?
Yeah.
That's what I
Exactly.
need to know. Like, that's what everyone wants to know. Like, what is my tomorrow going to look like?
I mean, right now I'm still stressed whenever I'm at a gas station putting gas in my. So is it going to make me more stressed when I go to the gas station? Is it going to,
Is it,
I don't know.
Or is it the grocery store that's going to be?
Yeah,
I think it's going to be that
supply.
I think
The
it is
supply
too.
chain itself will,
It'll probably, and we're so, myself too, like so fucking spoiled. Just be like, where are my fucking,
Where are my organic cage-free eggs?
Oh, I was gonna-
all I got is these regular eggs.
I was gonna
Yeah.
go spooky and be like, "Where's my Halloween themed cereal? Where's my blueberries?
there you go.
Where's my
Count Chocula?
Frankenberry.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Frankenberry. You're right. Yeah.
No, it's blueberry, Frankenberry, and
Oh wait, Blueberry is a
blueberry.
different.
Blueberry.
Is a ghost that's blue.
Oh.
Frankenberry is a Frankenstein that's strawberry colored or flavored, and then Count Chocula.
It's
is
classic.
very
That's
clear,
classic.
yeah.
That's classic. Yeah. I pride myself on looking a little bit like Count
Mystery
Chocula.
There's
solved.
there was a mummy one. There was a special mummy one at
Oh.
some point.
Mum,
We should do a cereal podcast.
yeah,
It's
what the
called
fuck are we
Cereal.
doing?
What are we
Called
doing?
Cereal.
Why are we doing this?
Oh shoot!
You do a show? Yeah. What's it called? Cereal. Wait, you
Cereal.
do cereal? Yeah, you
Yeah.
know it.
Yeah.
I'm your biggest fan.
We talk about cereal with Anan Saeed. He comes on and we talk about cereal.
That's it. We don't bring up anything else.
Nope, don't even talk about
Don't even talk about lunch.
yeah.
I mean, Halloween jokes aside, this is legitimately terrifying. The potential of this railroad strike. It does feel, though, like I said, that we are detached from it.
yeah.
So I think a lot of people are, which is why it isn't big news.
right.
Because I think that people are just going to say like, this is terrible for the economy. It's going to cost us billions of dollars.
But
And
then
we're
they'll see.
used to hearing that.
Right.
Everything costs us billions of
Yeah,
dollars.
Totally. Yeah.
And our taxes are a waste anyway. Like our system is wildly broken to begin with.
Incredibly
So
broken.
it just feels like another thing where you go, okay, moving on. But
Yeah.
once it's here,
Well, it would be like-
that's when it's going to be the big news story.
Yeah, which makes me think it won't last long then.
Right. Which
Right.
once the shit's on the, once
Once
there's
it's
nothing on the
magnified.
shelves.
Yeah.
Wait, when is this? Is it before the elections or after? You said
after.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
It'll probably be the 19th. Yeah.
November 19th?
Yep.
Gotcha.
Is when they.
Oh, yeah,
is- yeah.
Oh man, that's how close to that is Thanksgiving? Could you imagine?
That is.
It's like the week before.
What Thanksgiving is the third Thursday? Is that how that works?
Last Thursday.
The last Thursday. So the Thanksgiving is the 24th, and it'll be the weekend. The 19th is you said 19, right?
Yeah.
Is the Saturday before Thanksgiving. Have fun with Black Friday if that.
Oh man, yeah. Oh man, that would be. Oh, that honestly,
kind of be great.
That kind of
forget
makes me happy.
Cyber Monday.
that kind of makes
Yeah.
me happy. That kind of I don't know why I would love to see Black Friday.
Because you're such an
just
anti-capitalist. You're so
suck.
like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So keep an eye on it. It's pretty exciting. Go get go get what you want. Rail workers.
Perfect place to end it. Mispronunciation of the
I
topic.
know.
This episode of Good Work is brought to you in part by The Chief, a New York City-based newspaper focused on municipal government, civil servants, and the important issues affecting New York State and federal employees. Visit thechiefleader.com, where you can subscribe for as little as $2.75 a month. Hey guys, I am sitting here with Cheryl Jones. How's it going, Cheryl?
Fine, how are you?
I'm great. You have a podcast.
I do have a podcast. It's called Movies Made Me.
And when you say movies that made you mean your favorite movies, right?
Well, maybe, but maybe not. It could be a movie you hate, but if it influenced you in some way to be who you are, that's what we're talking about.
Fantastic. So every episode you have a different person on.
Yes.
Who tells you their top 5 most influential movies. How do people find it?
They can find it at mmmpodcast.com, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and Google Play Music.
All right, welcome back, workers. So for the second half here, we like to have different things, topics, discussion. Sometimes we'll learn something. And today, I wanted to present to Matt and Jake here just kind of like a conversation topic, and just to kind of get to where we're going here to lay out some context. So I don't know if you guys saw in the news, but in Boston, so the world's largest food distributor, Sysco, which is like this massive conglomerate that just sends food all over the place, and it feels like it's
We've seen the trucks.
We've seen the trucks.
CISCO?
Yes.
Sysco?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah. You know Sysco.
Yeah, if you've been on any highway in America, you've definitely seen Sysco
Yeah,
trucks.
for sure. Tons of power, tons of money. So in Boston, the workers are striking there, and the cops have come in and started to arrest workers. They're getting violent with them
in the strike.
in the strike.
Okay.
Yeah.
and using on what charges?
That's a really good question, actually. It doesn't say right now
Because that's this. I mean, we saw this with like the BLM movement, where people were just being thrown in white vans.
Yeah.
like it was
That's
horror
literally
movie.
what's
Yeah, I know-
happening.
I
They're
saw.
being tossed into white vans.
And then it's very much we're just going to take these people away from this area, and then we'll sort it out when we get to where we're
You know
going.
what's weird about that though? Because it doesn't make sense. I mean, that never makes sense. But like, if they're mad at them for not working, they can't work when you arrest them.
Well, it's like we talked about. It's
You know what I
Totally.
mean? It's like,
Well, but
that's
it's
optics.
sending the message. It's like we
Yes.
talk about. Like it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
about the like. Well,
Oh,
this
yeah,
could
you're not
happen
going to
to
work for us. Well, we'll put you in this
Yeah.
cage.
So here's
you
how
won't work for anyone.
here's what they did. They called in the scabs. Sysco did called in the scabs.
For the uninitiated, maybe people aren't familiar with the term.
Scabs is it's a term for people who are willing to cross a picket line or a strike and work for a company for the conditions that they're offering, even though the union is striking.
And I just want to say that despite us being pro-union and myself being very pro-union, The Replacements is the best football movie of all time.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
Best football movie of all time,
Fantastic.
and it's all
Yep.
about scabs. Unfortunately,
It's all about scabs. Yeah.
listen, chicks dig scars, glory lives forever.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of unnecessary roughness myself. Kathy Ireland as the kicker.
Sinbad. We both knew Sinbad.
Scott what's his name?
Bakula?
Scott Bakula as the
Yep,
quarterback.
that's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Which
So
sounds like Dracula.
It does.
Spooky.
Spooky. Count Bakula.
So basically what they're able to do is they're able to call in the scabs and then have the strikers arrested for trespassing.
Okay.
And so the idea is that it's the company, it's Sysco, calling the police
Absolutely.
on the strike. So this isn't
Yes.
just like the state being like, hey, we got to. So which is different than like the riots, which I use those that term very loosely, but like. Because one could argue that the city or the state is saying like, well, this is a public disturbance. This can escalate and become dangerous.
Yes.
This is essentially a company being like, hey,
Well,
they're on
it's
our
also-
property.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
And that is the point of this discussion, what you're talking about here, which is like that I wanted to have, which is what is the purpose and what is the role of police? And on one hand,
Well, what is it and what is it supposed to be?
What is it and what do we think it is, right? And
Yeah.
so like one of the things, and it speaks directly to what you're saying here, Jake, that I think maybe, when we were talking about demystifying reality, I think a lot of people don't realize is that, because police have great marketing, protect and serve, we hear about propaganda, all that sort of stuff. The police have always been the infrastructure of a capitalist society to protect companies from their workers.
And okay.
That was the it started in slavery because that's who were the workers
Right.
in that economy. And then after that,
We
slavery
went from
ended,
a forced labor workforce.
we went into
to-
basically wage slavery, which is what we're kind of you could call today. But that entity still had to stay because if you remove the police, capitalism would end in 48 hours. Like you couldn't keep people from taking from the companies, from taking the things that are being kind of like, held from us, food, hygiene, stuff. Like it would all collapse, right? Even just the threat of the police being there. And so, but we're taught or we're supposed to believe that they are here to uphold laws,
yes.
right? But
And protect and serve.
Yeah. And who are they protecting and serving?
Right.
Who creates the laws that they are upholding to begin with? And if they were truly upholding the law, 50% of CEOs would be in prison.
Of course.
Most of our presidents and politicians would be in prison, right?
Sure.
So, like, we know that that's not true.
They're not this impartial party that's here to.
Yeah.
And that's grand scale, right?
Totally.
Even on a micro level, like there's a billion like YouTube channels and social media accounts. There's that one that's popular called like Audit the Audit, where they just like replay traffic stops and stuff like that, and like interactions with the police, and they go through all of the laws and they grade officers and the public citizens on how well they did in the interaction, on like a letter grade. It's a really interesting channel. I watch these videos all the time. You doom scroll and you come across one, but the reality is the vast majority of officers don't know the law. They're not lawyers.
Right.
They are told what their job is.
Yeah.
And it is really ultimately up to any individual officer to truly understand the law. And the amount of I have personal connections to police in a myriad of ways.
Sure, we all
and
do.
I've
We
never
can tell
heard,
by your ankle brace or your ankle monitor.
because I did some spooky stuff. But
I followed a woman home.
There's something in her closet. It's me. Anyways, but like I've never heard a story from an officer who I know personally about another officer that was positive in any way. All I know is cops who complain about how bad their colleagues are at their jobs. That's all I've ever heard. And a lot of it is because they don't know the law. They did this and because they did, but it also comes from a place of manipulation, because it's always like, oh, this dude did this and now we couldn't arrest this guy, or we couldn't do this thing, or they got off because we actually broke the law because we don't know the fucking laws. And a lot of it is constitutional. Most of it is constitutional law.
But they also use the law to let's pull this over. We'll make something up to pull this guy over.
Yep.
And we have this huge book of specific things that we can pick from.
That we can choose and figure out.
Oh, yeah, and figure out a way to use the book, the law against.
This happened to me once when I was working at Blockbuster. That store, we would close by the time we would leave. It would be like 1:30 in the morning or so on like a Saturday night.
I also worked at a Blockbuster.
No, we did this.
I think we talked about this.
And it's winter on Long Island. There's ice on the ground. I'm the only one left. I was the manager. I was the last person to leave. I'm in an empty parking lot at 1:30 in the morning in like West Babylon on Long Island, and I'm driving a 1980s Grand Am, like this crappy little car, this little like 2-door coupe with a dent in it. And when I try to put my gas, like when I put the gas on, my tires spin on the ice for maybe 2 seconds. Like that, right? I pull all the way through the parking lot out to the red light that connects the parking lot of this big strip mall to the road. And I'm at the red light and a cop car pulls out in the intersection, stops in front of me. And so I'm, quote, pulled over. I'm not. I'm just in the middle of a road in the middle of the night, 1:30 in the morning. And he comes out and he goes, "That was a nice little show you put on for your friends." That was the first thing he says to me. What? I literally have no idea what the fuck he's talking about. He's like, "Yeah, I saw you peel out in the parking lot for your friends." And I'm like, first off, there are no other people in this empty parking lot in the middle. It's 2 in the morning. There's fresh snow on the ground. You can see there ain't no footsteps. Okay, like there's nothing here. And he didn't like my tone. I can tell he didn't like that. I went, "What do you? You mean I spit on the ice?"
They hate tones.
Immediately,
They're so fragile.
They are.
Immediately flashlight.
They are.
Immediately flashlight in the back seat. Flashlight in the car. And by the way, this is like my sister is a defense attorney, and my sister is very much like I just went out to dinner with her like 2 nights prior, where she said like, "Don't ever say anything to a cop," and they pull you over like I have her in my ear. But the cop he asks me questions. "What are you doing here?" "I work at Blockbuster." How do I know?" look at my yellow polo collar, you dumb idiot. Like,
How do I know where you work?
right, sure.
Like, well,
I'm wearing the
we're
uniform.
both wearing fucking
Yeah.
costumes.
Yeah. But he starts running the mill, and then he starts going like, what do you have in the back seat? And I'm like, I don't. And I said to him, like, sir, please don't look in my back seat. Like, you can't just, that's illegal. And I'm like trying to be like respected to the cops. My brother's a police officer, but I'm also my sister, the defense attorney in the other ear. And this dude I can see him going through the checklist. All right, do you have something on you that he's trying to find something on me? Because I guess
Smelling.
I look like
smell.
a pothead. Yeah.
The fucking smell thing is such. I
Right.
smelled pot.
My favorite.
So I could search the car.
Yeah.
If I just say I smell it.
yeah.
And I don't. And also I don't call it pot. I know.
I don't
I'm
call
saying
it
I
pot.
was being them. Okay.
But
You're
like,
the old man.
by the way, like, and it's just like he's pulling over some straight edge kid who's trying to get. I have college. I have a shitty class that I don't want to go to the next morning. I'm straight edge. I don't even drink alcohol, let alone fucking smoke weed.
Yeah.
They have the checklist in their head. They're going through it to try to figure out what they can do to ensure that the person that they didn't like, that they stopped for whatever reason they decided to stop at, they are going to be able to show power over.
Right. Yeah. And then they give those positions, like they create these in, these clearly like these laws or these things that really don't. So I mean, what's the point of even stopping you? And how is that in any way protecting
the
and
laws
serving or doing anything?
Don't make us any safer.
No.
Yeah, the
Right.
specific stuff is like, oh yeah, you did give you a rolling stop and not a complete stop.
Right.
The rolling stop, I still checked to see if there was cars coming.
100%.
It's not this specific these like loopholes don't make us
No.
any safer.
No. It just
yeah.
gets them more. It just gets them more money, so that
Exactly.
they. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got pulled over once because I was following a police officer too closely because they slammed on their brakes, and then I had to like nearly crashed into them.
Right.
And they were like, well, you were clearly too close. Dude, when I say slammed on his brakes, we were on like a 55 mile an hour road, 60 mile an hour road. And he came to a complete stop incredibly abruptly.
Yeah.
And then he was like, and it was all because he didn't like the look of what I was driving and what I looked like and who was in the car.
When I was in high school, I got pulled over. I had this car that had really dark tint.
Okay, yeah.
But I bought it that way.
Doing
I didn't-
illegal stuff in that tinted car.
Well, they pulled me over, and my car was also sucked. Like if there was something wrong with the computer or something, or the chip in it, where like if it ran for a while and you turned it off, you had to wait for like 45 minutes because it got flooded.
Right.
So you had to wait. So I knew if I pulled me over, I was like gonna be stuck on the side of the road for a while.
Right.
If I
You couldn't
turned the car
restart
off.
restart the car.
Yeah. So he did that, and I was like, "Fuck, this sucks." And
you try to explain that. Like, I can't shut the car off. I promise.
no, I didn't. I just shut the car off. I knew. I was
okay.
like, I'm not gonna. Really. But then he came and was like, he never gave me a ticket. He just pulled me over because the tint he said was too dark. And I was like, oh, I didn't know. I bought the car like this from a dealership, so I assumed
Right.
that the tint was fine. And he took my license and put it on the other side of the glass. He said, "Can you read your the number?" I was like, no. He goes, "That's how you know." And I was like, so that's the test. That's the law. Like I was like so
Right.
confused. Like you're supposed to put a license.
Right,
Like, this
right,
seems
right.
like something you just made up.
Right.
Like what
It's
the fuck, dude?
like a penal code 346B, Unit 7.
Must be able to read the license.
yes.
Driver's license through the tint if you press it up against.
Yeah.
Standard North Carolina licenses can be read.
But even like I was in high school, I was like, I knew this. This is total bullshit, dude.
Totally.
You're just winging it out here.
Yeah.
You don't know what the fuck's going on.
And so much of it is like once they get out there too, it's
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
And half of so many people hate the whole like ACAB sort of thing or like
Right.
some of the phrasing around things. Are there good cops out there? Of course there are. There's good people out there that are cops. That's not the point of the phrase. The point of the phrase is once you become a cop, you are entered into a system that is
a gang.
and your
a
brain,
gang.
it's brainwashing.
It's absolutely
brainwashing.
It's-
100%.
and
And it's so crazy how pro-union the cops are too when they're union busting.
which
Well,
is
isn't that wild?
It's wild. And like there is a big argument and that this is like a really interesting nuanced conversation, but there is kind of a theory that like the cops union is not a real union in the way that we think of it because it's not just there to protect their working conditions, but it's also there to protect the things that they're allowed to do
It's because it's
to
because a regular
people.
union,
Yeah.
a regular union says like, oh, you can't make me work without paying me this much
Right.
money, or you have to
safe
give me this thing.
Conditions.
Yeah.
It doesn't say, and also if I murder somebody, one of my coworkers, I can't be put in prison because I murdered
Correct.
a coworker.
Exactly.
I'm allowed to plant drugs on people, right?
Right.
Yeah,
And I
totally.
think, and a lot of it does come from the power above the law that the police unconstitutionally have.
Yeah.
And it's not that they actually have it, it's that it just isn't enforced.
Yeah.
Because why is it going to be enforced? Who is going to enforce it? Cops who are protecting themselves. They're protecting their own
Yep.
self. And that's what I'm saying. It is very much brainwashing. Like, I know a lot of cops that I feel like they're in a cult and they don't realize it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I mean, Matt's been saying the word, and I totally
Right.
think this is the right word. Fucking gang.
It's a gang.
Gang.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 It's
Yeah.
the biggest gang in the country.
And gangs like feel like cults because they have to be like, I feel like brainwashed to believe that is that's their tribe. That is,
Through the threat of violence on you if
Absolutely.
you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And like, I think that so one of the reasons I want to talk about this is like, I think like we have to have a real conversation about like the police in this country, and I think that conversation has to start with an understanding of what their purpose has always been for.
Yeah.
And I think people think, well, without the police, like, what is to keep Jake from following a woman home at night, right? First of all, police don't stop crimes.
No.
They're not supposed to stop crimes. It's not in their job description to stop crimes. Their job is to basically go get people that the government needs them to go get, right? Like, and bring them to where the government needs them to be. They don't have to save your life if they don't want to. They're not obligated in any way. If they saw Jake following a woman,
just look at Uvalde.
yeah. Oh, totally.
If their job was to protect those kids,
they would
have
yeah.
protected those kids.
Yeah.
But instead, they stood outside
Yeah.
with their military grade weaponry.
Yeah.
And I think that there's like, I think there can be a police force that is for some sort of like neighborhood area protection or whatever, but the way that we have it functioning now,
Yeah, it's not.
is fucking. It's we live in a military state,
Right.
or a police state, or yeah, it's basically what the American empire has been doing to most of the world for years. It is now turned and is now fully with the militarized versions of, the police equipment and the police in America are the third largest military in the world. The largest military in the world is the United States military.
Right.
Then it's China. Then it's the American police. And, some people described, which I think is really interesting, the definition
And then
of
fourth is the Insane Clown Posse fans.
The Juggalos?
It's
The Juggalos?
The Juggalos. It's
the Juggalos
wild.
are fucking huge.
But they don't carry
just got
weapons.
helicopters. No, they got helicopters. They got Apaches.
And they just drop Fanta or whatever the drink is.
Yeah,
that they-
that's right. Fanta and nose rings.
It's just mostly backyard wrestlers.
Somebody, because I think fascism is really hard to understand sometimes. Like I struggle to understand it.
Sure.
And like exactly what it is, because some people think it means like authoritarianism only, and it's like that's not
Right.
really what it means. But basically, the best definition I've ever heard that helped me understand it is when capitalism is in crisis or imperialism is in crisis, the state, the empirical state, what they've been doing to other countries with like their military and force, they then turn it in and do the same exact tactics on their own population, including
Right.
like dividing them based off of like race and gender and that sort of thing, and then upping the violent sector of the government, the police, the military.
Yeah.
And I like that really helped me understand I think a little bit more of what that
Right.
that is. Yeah. And I also wanted to just bring up, have you guys ever heard of Blair Mountain?
Is that the Blair Witch?
It's not, but it sounds like the Blair Witch, which
Oh,
kind of
would've been
makes
perfect
it.
for spooky.
I know. And I was just gonna bring this up because I think this is, and we should do a whole episode on this. But audience, if you're listening, Google Blair Mountain labor. It's the largest labor uprising in American history,
Wait,
and it happened in 1921. And what were you gonna say?
did we talk about this?
A little bit.
Okay, it sounds a little- okay.
Yeah, But basically, the workers got into a fucking war with the police.
Okay.
To the point where, like, the police were shooting machine guns at striking workers off
Jesus
of the
Christ.
side of trains. Many people died. The police burned women and children alive. It was like
So this is much worse than the Blair Witch. This is
yeah,
worse than the Salem witch trials.
yeah, yeah. This is way spookier than
Yeah, I mean, just shoot people and
it's
because
fucking
it's real.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a whole thing in the Smithsonian magazine about it that I would highly recommend you reading. It's really fucking crazy. But basically, yeah. It was,
How did that end?
it basically
What ended it?
What ended it was essentially just kicking everybody out of this town, and like the whole town was because it was a bunch of miners. It was a mining town, and the mine owners had so much power over the town that the police just came in and just started just kicking people out, just being like, get the fuck out of here. And then bringing in new workers, just rotating through. And they were striking primarily because of black lung, because who wants that? Yeah, really interesting. Really interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, also one more thing. Sorry, the sheriff of the town.
Is this Blair or is this
Or chief? This is Blair Mountain. Really fast. I forgot about this. This is crazy to me. The police chief actually defended the strike, and publicly was like trying to be a mediator. And this is why, like, you know, that whole idea of like, you know, are there good cops, are there bad cops, or whatever. The police chief defended the strikers. And his own fucking cops killed him, gunned him down, for him defending him and his. Yeah, it's a fucking crazy story. It's a crazy story. Yeah.
So to tie stuff back to our Sysco story,
Yeah.
Cops literally being called on strikers
is
Totally.
nothing new?
and it's
Exactly.
nothing new, and it's also like it again. That is an ultimate example of like they're probably just going to get charged with trespassing,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Totally.
But it successfully destroys their effort
Yes.
to form the picket line itself,
Yep.
to strike, which is a right.
Yeah.
And it's ultimately to protect a private property of a capitalist, of a company,
Yeah.
not even a person,
Yep.
which is ultimately the police. Like, this is what they're for.
Yeah. I
This
mean,
is it.
that's our taxes.
They're doing their job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our taxes pay for the infrastructure for capitalism to survive. We build roads and bridges so that capitalism can work. Police are the roads and bridges,
Right.
but for making sure nobody, disrupts the movement of, profit and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's interesting stuff. And, yeah.
So I guess
we live in hell.
your police outfit for Halloween today is not funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't, yeah.
Unless it's like a movie cop.
Have you been pulling people over in that thing? It's fucked up, dude.
Yeah, I have. Well, I mean,
You pulled
like,
me over.
Then why
Hey.
did you ask?
Huh? Well, I mean, other people. I
Oh,
knew you
okay.
pulled me over.
yeah, you did.
I was speeding.
slow roll. You did a slow roll.
I started a slow roll and a stop. Yeah.
California stop, or California roll. What is it called when you roll through a stop sign?
I
Is it
call it a rolling stop. Is
a
what I
rolling
heard.
stop. I thought it was called like a California roll.
Really?
No, isn't that like a sushi?
It is a sushi,
Oh, yeah.
but I thought it. Yeah,
I thought
I
it
might
was-
be wrong.
No, I think you know what it is. It's tempura.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
It's vegetable tempura.
Well, there you have it, kids.
Yeah.
We hope you have a very fun, happy, and safe Halloween. We hope that all your union demands are met.
Yeah.
And all of your candy has drugs in it.
I
Because
hope it has drugs and razor blades.
I mean, well,
Absolutely.
if you need razor blades,
For
sure.
your drugs.
Free. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For your
and a
drugs.
mirror. I hope it has a mirror in it.
Yeah, I mean,
a little rolled up 100.
Also, if
Yeah.
you figure out who's giving out free drugs for Halloween, like let your friends know.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. 'Cause
absolutely.
Because that's a deal.
That
and
is.
if you don't let your friends know, just let me know.
Yeah. And also, if you are drug dealers, if you are putting drugs in that, like, what a terrible business decision. What are you doing?
Nah,
No,
you
they're
get
the
'em
true
hooked, man.
philanthropists.
Yeah. Oh, that is. Yeah. That's
That's philanthropy. Oh, you know what? Quick follow up. I just want to say, talking about philanthropy, a couple weeks ago, we highlighted how lovely it was that the CEO owner of Patagonia gave his company away. And listen, it shows you how marketing works, because we touted his praises.
Yeah.
Was it bullshit?
And I highly urge everybody to check out our Discord. Adam Conover put out a whole video about the history of this guy in Patagonia and everything that he's done, and how he got to where he was, with the argument being that there can't be a good billionaire. You can't get to the point that he got without being awful.
Yeah.
Every step of the way. And then when you get to that point, you can be like, hey, climate change is important to me. I'm going to give this company away. It doesn't mean that he's like,
right.
And I'm glad we didn't give him Employee of the Month.
I was just about to say that. I sensed something because I didn't give him the highest honor.
There's a really fantastic video. Adam Conover, who's exceptional. If you haven't watched his new show, The G Word, it was an old show. Adam Ruins Everything. They're really exceptional programs, but he just put out like a YouTube video that's sort of in the same vein. I posted it in the Discord channel for Good Work. And you can I'm sure if you just go to his Twitter, you'll see it, because it was like just a couple weeks ago. But hey, listen, it just shows you how marketing works. Like, because even if it, like, there's just, even we were like, hey, this is great news. Hey, if everybody was like this guy, well,
not buying it.
Don't. There you go.
You guys want to buy any Patagonia stuff? I bought a bunch of it.
Maybe the argument is like, now you can finally buy it, because now we at least know where the money's going.
Right.
But up until this point, it's been awful.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't matter. Anyways, everything is awful. For all things Good Work, go to goodworkpod.com. There you can find official merchandise, links to our personal social media accounts. You can find the link to the aforementioned Discord community, which is completely free. I know a lot of podcasts and a lot of like internet communities tie their Discords to like Patreon levels and stuff like that. That's not us. The Dragon Wagon Radio Discord is completely free, and it's a really fun place to go hang out and just meet people and join the conversation. You can find all that and more at goodworkpod.com.
Yeah, and you can email us any of your I quit stories, it got fired stories, work-related story, that kind of stuff, goodworkpod@gmail.com, or you can call the Good Work voicemail box at 929-256-5151. Yeah.
Please.
Just want to talk.
Yeah, and please subscribe, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/goodworkpod. It would be really cool. You could support us, just a couple bucks a month. Would help go a long way for us to be able to continue to do this show. That's patreon.com/goodworkpod.
Good work, guys.
Good work, y'all.
And happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Vampire.
It's Dragon Wagon.